about Johnson and Johnson. If you don't know about Johnson and Johnson, they're a big healthcare company. They make Band-Aids, they make a bunch of medical devices. Um, they make baby powder, they make baby formula, they're in a lot of different lines. And today I'm going to go over my view on Johnson and Johnson and their recent news stories that have come out. I do have Johnson & Johnson in both my accounts. I am down on both of my accounts on Johnson & Johnson. That's just because I bought it before all this news came out, and it dropped about 5% when all this news did come out. So I'll go ahead and talk about the news that came out. They are threatened by a bunch of lawsuits because of asbestos in their baby powder. Um, they've been, so yeah, right here, the Johnson & Johnson stock price has been threatened by thousands of lawsuits claiming that the talc the company uses is contaminated with cancer-causing asbestos. They are paying a lot of these lawsuits just to get them out of the way. But this is regular dealings with healthcare companies like this. Like, this is part of operating costs, right? It's just getting sued. This is nothing new for Johnson & Johnson. Personally, I don't think it's going to affect their core business. I think they're going to come back better than ever. And I think that the stock is actually just a little cheaper right now. So here's the annual reports of their sales breakdown. So they do have about half of their sales coming from the US. And within that, only about 13% or so is from consumers. And within that consumer, less than 5% is baby powder. So their sales aren't being really affected, right? Their medical devices and their pharmaceuticals, that's what is driving their business. This consumer aspect just kind of seems to be a pain. They're getting sued all the time for it. But I don't think it's really going to affect their core business model. A lot of people have been selling it off. It's down like 5%, and that just means that it's 5%. It's on sale by 5%, right? We'll go ahead and look at their dividends, and we'll go through all the analysis like I usually do. But keep in mind that it has been a little crazy for this company, so we might not be seeing the best information on when to swing trade this. This is if we're going to buy it for the long term here. If you think that the core business model is what is still going strong and you want to hold it for years to come, right? So their payout ratio is 43%. That is extremely low for a company in the healthcare industry operating on billions and billions of dollars. So that leaves quite a bit of room to pay out quite a bit of money in lawsuits, right? So their dividend yield, it is a little, it is high right now, and that's because the stock price is dropping. So back here, when it was at 3%, above 3%, it fell pretty drastically, and that means that the stock price rose pretty drastically. So I'm going to hold off on buying it until it actually gets up above 3%. This little dip right here, this dip right here, that is this. It goes down and then dips right back up. That is when the sell-off happened on October 17th, about a week ago. Their dividend growth has been fine, nothing wrong with it. It looks perfect to me. So I don't see anything wrong with this company. Their payout ratio is still going strong. And let's go ahead and take a look at the indicators right now. What do we got? So right now it's showing us a negative trend. I think the negative trend will continue a little bit. If it hits maybe 126 or so, I'm going to pick up a couple more shares. I think that right now it's pretty cheap for Johnson & Johnson. I would be happy with paying 130 if this news didn't come out. But if it hits 126, 125, then I'll definitely be picking up a couple more shares, especially since their dividend's about to be announced. So yeah, that's my take on Johnson & Johnson and their baby powder. That's the news that's happening. They're just getting hit with all these lawsuits, and they're finally trying to get these out of the way. They're finally settling and paying out all this money. But again, their payout ratio is only 40%. so they have 60% that they can reinvest and pay these lawsuits off with. Their company's not going anywhere. Medical devices are always going to be needed. The healthcare industry is huge and continue to grow. I'll go ahead and show you them. So here they are in my M1. I am down on it. But yeah, it doesn't bother me, right? I'm happy to buy more and more of this company. Doesn't bother me. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. I'll see you guys in the next video.